Well, welcome to day 3 here at HP Discover. I'm Andy McCaskey from SDR News, and of course, a recurring theme at each HP event is talking about a new style of IT. And a big part of that's applications, and Paul Evans is joining us here this morning. Paul, what is your role at HP?
As always, interesting. I think basically it's the role to try and communicate to our customers basically what we believe, our point of view around applications and the real importance of applications in delivering a business outcome, but then how that is enabled effectively by a new style of IT.
Mm-hmm. You use the phrase of a company going digital. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think the point being is we in the technology world talk about systems that are business to consumer or business to employee, B2B, B2C, we love all these terms. But the point being, I think what we're heading into is a world which I think is more C to B. I think the point being is the customer, we are becoming the reason why people do things. The point being is technology now, if you think about your daily life and if you did an audit of your 24 hours, think of all the digital technologies that you either use directly or indirectly within the space of a day.
There was a recent thought that in 1970, if all the computers ceased to exist, you wouldn't notice until your bank statement came at the end of the month.
Correct.
But if computers stopped functioning today, we'd notice within seconds.
Yeah, and we do, unfortunately, and we believe we're in the driving seat. We believe we as the consumer or the citizen is in the driving seat in terms of this revolution, and we are very critical. We work with clients who spend millions of dollars creating a new piece of functionality on their phone, and yet within seconds we decide whether we like it or love it. We go on a social network and tell people whether it's good or bad, and then we immediately say what comes next. And that speed, that cadence has just changed dramatically over time. So the application has become the face of the organization. Good application, good company. Bad application, bad company. And we are very critical in that respect.
So it's a velocity of expectation that's continually, that clock is being set in the consumer space, not being set in the business space.
Well, the point being is now I think those two are just collapsing. What we live and breathe in the evenings at weekends, we expect to have inside our organizations on a Monday morning. That there is still a gap there that needs to be closed, and that's one of the things that HP is so keen to do.
Does that mean that applications need to be on a 6-month replacement cycle and continually refreshed, or what does that mean?
Well, the answer to continue refreshed is absolutely true, but just think of, historically, we used to roll out big enterprise applications twice a year, totally driven by the technology environment to support a business requirement. Think of it now. If you're a company that has an application on Android, iOS, and Windows 8, let's just say, that means every year you have to respond to, say, 20 updates from those companies.
Right.
That says every 2 weeks you start a software project because you are now building against a new specification, a new SDK. That application has to be tested thoroughly and then released every 2 weeks, and that is not building in all the changes that you want to make.
Well, and then from a security standpoint, the attack surface is just getting larger and larger and larger.
Exactly. So if you're in the technology, if you're a CIO, this is not a fun place to be. You've got the business saying, hey, we need to get the application out. Our competitors did this yesterday. What's going to be our response? You've got security concerns. You've got the fact that you have to test this app to destruction to prove that you're not going to be embarrassed when you go out to the market and put it into the app store and say, here's my new bright shiny app, and then it falls over within the first 24 hours and you get slammed on the social network.
What size of organizations are affected by this phenomenon?
Oh, that's the interesting thing. Everyone. I mean, just think of it. These days you do business with big brand names, I'm sure, banks, whatever it may be, airlines, but you also buy and sell using companies that you've never heard of, but they have a good web presence. So the point being is this change is not a big company thing or a small company thing, it's an everything, and it's also public sector and private sector. It's not just about organizations making money, it's about organizations serving people.
How does cloud fit into this situation?
Well, I mean, I think if there was just one use case for cloud, it's this ability to deliver what we call an elastic infrastructure. The days when we could predict demand are gone. The days where we said, well, we have so many people on desktop PCs or whatever it may be, we could predict demand and usage cycles and everything. Now, if you release an app into the App Store, Do you think it's going to be downloaded 1 million times, 10 million times, 100 million? You know, will the infrastructure have to respond? Because the experience you get off this thing is not just about the app that's in the device, it's what it's connected to. What it's connected to is a cloud environment.
Well, and there's further assumptions as far as what connectivity that app enjoys as it's being deployed in an environment that's totally changing.
Well, the thing we always think is very clear, that the part of the experience you get, the digital customer experience, is inherent to the app on the device. The other 50% you might say of the experience is what it connects to, what information sources. How can I get to the information I really want on this device in the time that I think is acceptable?
So it seems like you're merging cloud capability and this ability to flex up and down with demand with the app itself.
Oh yeah, I think cloud and app to me should be just seamless. There is no join. You know, it's just a seamless world of, I go onto my device, whether it's mobile, tablet, wearable, like we're showing here, or traditional desktop environment. And the question then is, I want to go to a range of services to do the job I've got to do. I expect that to be totally seamless, totally automated.
There's a lot of discussion that the customer now, the chief marketing officer, is the one who is driving the technology spend. Do you find that to be true in most organizations?
I think that definitely, I would say the line of business, the CMO, has risen in importance as we have realized, of course, that this technology is so fundamental to the success or failure of organizations. As I said, good app, good company, improved sales, etc. But the point being is that the customer experience you get from your device, the digital customer experience, is now the number one thing that organizations want to achieve. They look to the CMO to lead that. But what I don't think is the case is where the CMO is going off in one direction and the technology group are going off. The successful organizations realize that putting those two guys in the same room and sitting down and saying, now we've got to work together to satisfy the business requirement with the technology response.
Is that something that HP leads organizations to make that consolidate, or to bring those people into the room? Or do they bring into the room and then bring HP in and say, HP, how are you going to react to this new style?
I think, being very straightforward, I would say it's a blend. What we do in HP is work with an ecosystem of partners that may want to bring other parties to the table. We work with a lot of digital agencies that will say how our relationship is with the CMO. We can facilitate the CMO in the room together with the CIO in the room to say, hey, what is it you want to really achieve from the business? And that's the point. This is a business-driven thing. So we need to understand from the CMO, what are you trying to do? Sell more to the people you know today, or sell more to the people you don't know today? Is it new personas? Are you trying to target younger people, different people, male, female, whatever it may be? And the question is, once you understand what the CMO is trying to achieve with the business, then what is the technology response to that?
That will align with the particular audience that they're trying to target.
Correct, because we also know now that if you've got to start thinking of customers as individuals, not as just, I have customers. You have customers, but they're different age groups, they're different personas. How do you actually understand who those people are and how best to serve them?
What do you see in the future for apps? Because I see as millennials come in, as digital natives come in, very, very comfortable with this, their expectations would be quite different, perhaps, from what you and I would have.
I'm not that old. No, I would agree with you. I mean, my children, as you say, have grown up in a different world, have a different expectation. I'm just about to have my second granddaughter, and the point being is that I think of what the world will be like for that person. I think the point being is expectation, speed. I think agility. I mean, people talk about agility sometimes as a technology, but it's got to be a response that organizations have to understand now that they don't have time to sit and consider and wait and think. We, unfortunately, are a very impatient group of people, and will become more impatient going forward. And I think that is the response of organizations, is to not only respond to that, but get ahead of the curve, which a lot of organizations find so difficult today.
Yeah, and I think that this whole notion of alignment with as the customer is making decisions, making a series of decisions, of aligning your actions to where that customer is at that particular moment in the cycle.
Well, I think the point being, we have to realize that technology has always been out there doing what it wants to do at a time frame it wants to do it with the people it wants to do it. all gone, all changed. Technology now is serving a business requirement which you and I demand by virtue of what we want to buy, what we want to sell, what we want to do. And we're very critical, we're very cynical. We'll look at things, and if we don't like them, we'll go and buy it from somebody else in a heartbeat. And that, for organizations, is a very nerve-wracking situation to be in, which is why we work a lot with the business side as well as the technology side to say, hey, it is possible to take a leadership position, it is possible to deliver this, but it isn't the way you used to do it.
Excellent. Where do people go to learn more about application transformation and to kind of begin their thought process here?
Well, we have a good site, hp.com/application transformation in one word. A lot of video material. We don't expect people to spend hours reading things, so we try to convey using video, what we think, what some of our advisors, people like Jeffrey Moore, are saying about applications, and this whole shift from, you might say, traditional systems of record to the new systems of engagement.
Excellent. Paul, it's been a pleasure again to talk with you here at HP Discover.
Thanks
for joining us here, and thanks to you folks. Please follow our additional coverage of HP Discover from Las Vegas.
Live streaming of SDR news coverage at HP Discover has been made possible by Intel Corporation. Check out Intel OpenPort IT, where you can connect with your peers at Intel on industry topics, best practices, strategies, and more. And by Microsoft, where HP and Microsoft are working together, combining their respective strengths to deliver innovative technologies to help advance your business.